At the end of the manhwa, Jinwoo went back in time and defeated all his enemies. Even though he was still young and was in school, he hoped to meet Hyun again, and for this, he entered the athletic club of his school. Because he knew that in the other timeline before Hyun was a hunter, she was a famous athlete. Then in the school they start the qualifiers for the national athletics. There Jinwoo, as expected, found Hyun resting in a tree. She was injured and therefore could not participate. For this reason Jinwoo heals her. To which she asks him if they had met before. There they both make a bet, in which Hyun says that if she won the race, then he would have to tell her everything. Even so, Jinwoo ended up winning. Then the novel moves to a Christmas night. There they both had a date where she starts to ask him why they didn't see each other so often. Jinwoo tells her that he was busy with the qualifiers, besides the entrance to the university, because he wanted to meet someone. There Hyun gets jealous. Then she tells him that she had to tell him when they had met before, to which Jinwoo says that she had lost the bet they had made, but she tells him that they would make a new race. Here she cheats, because she puts his scarf and tells him that if he was really interested in her, he would let her win. At the end she celebrates her victory, and the main character gives her a kiss with which he recovers his memories. Well, before continuing with the end, if you like this kind of videos and want to see more continuations of other anime, please leave your like and comment. This way I will know that you support this content. In case you are new here, consider subscribing. More than 90% of those who see the content forget to subscribe. Also activate the notifications bell, and you will know when I upload a new ending. Finally, follow me on my social networks that I always talk about anime. All links are in the description. The novel continues with a time jump of 12 years. Here we see that Jinwoo had become a famous detective. One afternoon he receives a call from Jinho. In this timeline both became friends from college. They both went to dinner, and he tells her that he was thinking of proposing to Jinna, who is Jinwoo's younger sister. To this the prota gets happy, and says that now they would be a family, asking him about his son. Here we learn that recently had been born his firstborn named Suho. After this both friends say goodbye and Jinwoo return home, where he is living happily with Hyun. They both lived in a mansion. At this time Hyun had become a famous athlete, so she was earning too much money. When he arrived at his house he was greeted by Hyun and the two commanders that he had put to take care of his house, Belian and Ygritte. Both shadows were arguing, because Ygritte wanted to teach Suho to use the sword, while Belian wanted to instill knowledge in him, since that was more important in the human society. Jinwoo, upon hearing the fight, tells them to at least wait until he learns to walk to teach him, to which both commanders agreed. At this Jinwoo started to laugh with Suho, while apologizing to Hyun for the scene he had made, to which she replied smiling as she always did when such things happened. Then the novel passes days later while Jinwoo was coming back from work. Then Hyun's scream was heard, to which Jinwoo rushed inside while imagining the worst. At that we see that Suho was flying, something he had inherited from his father's powers. Then the novel tells us about a gift that the shadows were making. Here they had made a statue of Jinwoo with Suho on his shoulder. All were happy to think that when Suho grew up would be able to see his work, but in the kingdom of the shadows was heard the laughter of a baby who was Suho. While everyone wondered how it had been possible for him to enter the kingdom without anyone's help, then the novel passes a few years in the future, specifically after Suho entered the kindergarten. Here we are put from the point of view of Hyun. She had received a call from the principal of Suho's school. She rushed to the meeting with the principal, and the first thing she did was to ask if Suho was well. The principal told her that nothing serious had happened. She only called her because in the drawing book, he always drew shadows. On the last page he had drawn a house almost completely black that represented the kingdom of shadows. The principal asked Hyun if she knew what it was all about, but she obviously could not reveal it, so she pretended not to know anything. The principal told her that she thought he was being mistreated at home, but seeing the concern he showed she thought that the boy was just good at drawing. After that the principal said that there was really another reason why he called, and the novel happens at night when Jinwoo came back from work. Here Hyun told him about his visit with the principal, and Jinwoo laughed while looking at the drawing book. But then Hyun became serious and told him that the principal told her that Suho could not make friends because all the children were afraid of him. Jinwoo started to think of a solution and realized that it was all because of the powers of the shadows that he was awakening. Because of this, he decided to suppress Suho's powers and all his memories, so he could relate with the other children normally. In that moment Baru appeared, who was the shadow in charge of taking care of Suho. He wanted to try to make Jinwoo change his mind, but seeing how determined he was, he only asked to say goodbye to Suho with the other shadows. Beru and the others went to Suho's room, who was sleeping, and they all knelt down and said that they would wait until the young king grows up so that they could meet again. They all wished him good luck, and after that, Jinwoo sealed Suho's memories. Then the novel again goes to a time jump of several years, where we see Suho in high school. Suho spends his days bored because he felt he had forgotten something. During the exit of the school, he found a black portal. At first he thought he should avoid it, but then he thought, what would his father do instead? Then he decided to enter and found himself in a dungeon. There appeared shadows that made him level up, and he also met the shadows that had taken care of him as a child, Ygritte, Belian and Beru. These were like the bosses of the dungeon, and when he defeated them, he reached level 99. Then in the last level, he had to defeat a hooded man, but just when he was going to attack him, he realized that it was Jinwoo. Here Suho smiled, but then he appeared in his classroom when everyone had gone. Suho thought he had had a dream, and then a classmate appeared, who was in charge of closing the classroom. Suho offered to help her, and then we went to see Jinwoo. He had prepared that dungeon for his son, so he would see the moment when he was ready to unlock his powers. Then the novel passes several months later. Here we see Suho together with his friend leaving the school while they were playing, but in that he felt that there was something strange in the sky, but he didn't know what it was. Then we see Jinwoo and Hien and his dragon. Both had gone out to celebrate their anniversary, but suddenly Jinwoo felt the presence of an enemy entering the earth. He leaves Hien and the dragon, and leaves together with his army of the shadows, weighing that someday he could go with Suho. In this way the novel ends. Well, for my part here I leave the video. I hope you liked it. Remember to share it. And if you want me to bring out the end of another series, I leave you a goal of 5,000 likes. Also, comment what series you want, so I will see that you are very interested, and I will do it as soon as possible.